Bill Schwab of wineadvice.com, here with Eric Titus from Titus Vineyards. And the next wine in our little progression here is going to be the 05 Cabernet Sauvignon. Now the 05 vintage was a sort of unique vintage in Napa. Being the vineyard guy, tell us a little bit about what you experienced.
Well, it was interesting. It was a very wet year, wetter than normal, late season rains and a cool summer, and a heavy crop. And it was a heavy crop for a couple different reasons, because the 04 vintage was relatively light crop, and sometimes the plants will reciprocate on a subsequent vintage by hanging a heavier crop. But also, it was a heavy crop in Napa Valley in general, because so much replanting had been done in the late 90s, and it takes about 6 or 7 years for vineyards to get to full maturity, that the whole county was putting out a record crop that year. So very interesting that way. And but again, cooler weather, took a long, slow,
explosive nose here. I wanted to let you finish, but I had to interrupt you a little bit because the nose just jumped out at me so much.
And so much of that happened late season. September, October was almost Indian summer.
Almost explosive cassis leather. It's like a bunch of cassis in a cigar box. A little hints of tobacco and leather and spice, and almost none of that. I always expect a little bit, especially when I get that ripe cassis, there's almost always a little bit of vegetal in the background, because you get those real ripe grapes, and there's always a little green harvest. But they can tell you really work your vineyard.
Yeah.
To do a green harvest.
We do a green harvest, and that year in particular, because it was a heavy crop. But again, we had 6 weeks of late season warm weather, and that just it was almost like baking something, like braising something. It just ripened evenly and all the way through, and very substantially. No raisioning, no green fruit by the time it was all done. Very even ripening. And then the style here, again, it's aggressively blended. There's Petit Verdot, Malbec, and Merlot make up about 20% of the blend, and 80% varietal. So you get
very well rounded. Just a very sexy Cabernet. I'm very happy with it. And it has that beautiful fruit to it, that wonderful framework of the cigar cedar box, a little bit of spice to it, none of the vegetal undertones, and a good clean acidity to it. Wonderful wine. I would put this into the Napa Valley Cab in that versatile, with a little bit of food. I wouldn't want to go crazy on the food here. I would like to foil off something nice, just a nice ribeye or something, cowboy ribeye, something simple but a lot of flavor to it. But also would work as a great cocktail wine, which we'll get to the Reserve Cab, which is really a cocktail wine. But this is just wonderful, wonderful stuff. And out of Napa Valley, reasonably priced at roughly the $40 mark. Normally I talk to Tony, who's behind the camera, and say, hey Tony, what can you get this down to? Because he really crunches the number, but he's a little under the weather this week, so I've been double doing it. I'm going to take a little cut of his paycheck too. And we're looking at about probably $40, but we'll probably ship it to you for free. I'm looking at about $39, $38, somewhere in that, and probably shipping it to you for free if you get a few bottles of it. Maybe we'll wrap up a Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet Sauvignon package, but definitely a little room to play around there. Great juice. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you immensely. And I'm gonna drink the rest of this for sure. Wow, just really nice cab. Mouth filling, good tannin structure to it, perfectly balanced. Very nice job. Very impressive.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.